right, welcome back to What's Happening at the Cat. And today we have a special guest, Stan Miller.
Friends lived a couple doors down from us. This is in Warren. And I think it was like in August, kind of towards the twilight time. It wasn't completely dark, but it wasn't completely light. Anyway, I was going to go over to hang out with them. And, the neighborhood is these old two-story homes with basements, So I walked over to his house, and I walked around the side, and the basement window was open. And his older brother was in the basement practicing the tenor saxophone. I was 9 years old, and I just looked, and I heard the sound, and I saw the instrument, and I fell in love.
Huh.
And I remember telling my parents that I want to play the saxophone. And so they rented the old silver con alto sax, and I started lessons at 9 at Warren Music Center in Warren. And from there, I played in elementary school, junior high school, and high school. And that's how it got started.
I love when you play the sax. I also love when you sing, Stan. You've got a smooth, velvety voice. I love it as much as when you start singing some of the what I would call standards.
Mm-hmm.
So what are some of your influences, and what can people expect when they come to see you?
Well, just kind of as a side note, I started saxophone lessons when I was 9. I never took vocal lessons. I didn't start singing until I was in my mid-40s.
Really?
Yeah.
We're all glad you did.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
And I think it surprised me more than anybody else that I could even do that, because I never thought of myself as a singer. Mm-hmm. But it was during a time I had started doing a solo thing. This was in the mid-'90s. And I got a regular gig at a place in near Hiram. And it was every Friday. Garrettsburg. Garrett's something like that, Garrettsfield or something like that. It was a gig every Friday at a microbrewery called The Mill. And so I started, and I was only playing the alto sax, and I was not singing. So I did that for about 3 weeks, and then I started to, think, I should probably do a little bit more than just play the alto saxophone. And back then, the technology was kind of crude, so I was using cassette tapes, which was what I could afford, because back then, CD recorders, were well over $1,000, and that was way out of my price range. So I was using a cassette deck, and it was pretty crude. The sound system was a used sound system, and it was crude. But you do the best you can with what you get. So anyway, I thought, I'm getting a little antsy, a little bit bored just playing the alto sax. So I thought, well, maybe I'll try singing. And my goal initially was just to sing one song per night. Kind of like baby steps to see if I can get through that. Because like I said, I had never taken any vocal lessons. So that's what I started doing. And then I started thinking, well, maybe I can do one vocal per set. So that would be 3 songs per night. And then it was a process of just discovering my voice and how I wanted to stylize it. But one of the things I discovered that I think made the transition from being an instrumentalist to being a vocalist as well was the fact that I played a wind instrument. So playing a wind instrument, you use your lung your lungs to produce the sound, produce the air to go through the instrument. So that involves, the correct kind of breathing techniques. And then as a sax player, you also are dealing with phrasing. You're dealing with articulation. You learn how to play in tune, so you develop your ear. And these are all things that are also involved in singing.
Yeah.
Sure.
So my theory is that it kind of made the transition a little bit easier, for me. All I had to discover was what my voice was.
You'd been training all those years for your moment to sing. That's awesome.
Yeah, so it was kind of unexpected. I remember going to a high school class reunion. I think it was our 50-year reunion or something like that. And they asked me if I would play, and I said, sure. So I played, and then I put some vocals on it. And as soon as I started singing, I could see all the heads.
They were shocked, huh?
Yeah, because they didn't know me as a singer when I was in high school. How did that happen? Where'd that come from? So it's kind of funny, the reaction that it generated. But as to my influences, a lot of it came from what my mother listened to. She loved music, although she was not a musician. But she had a pretty wide range of taste in music, from like Nat King Cole, Count Basie, the big bands, Duke Ellington, Bill Doggett, as well as saxophonists like Houston Person, Ray Charles. Those are some of the albums that she had. So it amazes me that she had such good taste in music. Plus, she also listened to a radio program from Youngstown. We lived in Warren, but WKBN had a radio program during the week. And I think like at 8 o'clock, a fellow named Mike Ryan would do a talk show, I think for 2 hours or something like that. After the talk show, the radio station played a musical selection for a couple hours, and it was all from the American Songbook. So there was Dean Martin, there was Perry Como, there was Ella Fitzgerald, there was Dinah Washington, Patti Page, Tony Bennett, Frank Sinatra, all that stuff. And so she would listen to that during the day. And, of course, when I wasn't in school, if I was home, that's what I was listening to also. So that formed a strong base that developed my taste in music. The other thing was that my older sister, she took piano lessons from the time before I was even started kindergarten. She was like 4 years older, and she had taken piano lessons, and her teacher favored the classical side of music. So in my mind, I can hear to this day her practicing Clair de Lune by Claude Debussy. And that remains one of my favorite classical songs of all time. So that was also kind of an early influence. Then there was always what was on the local radio stations, the R&B and that sort of thing. I didn't really get into rock music, but more R&B. So it was a pretty diverse influence. And one of the funny things too is I can remember my mother every I don't know if it was Friday night or Saturday night. One of the what was his name? He played the accordion, and he had a full band, and I can't remember his name. It escapes me. anyway, that show was on, and I thought it was funny because it was just so corny.
Yeah.
But lo and behold, a lot of songs that they played then, Lawrence Welk.
Lawrence Welk. Yeah.
Lawrence
That was
Welk.
just on the tip of my tongue because my grandmother used to watch the
She did?
reruns of that Lawrence Welk.
You
Yeah.
remember the Bubbles?
Yeah.
And they had a great sax section, a really good horn section. And that was fun for me watching them, but I never dreamed that I would be playing some of the same music that Lawrence Welk played.
Wow.
So you never know what direction things are going to take.
Yeah. One of the things, Stan, I love about you is that you're an excellent musician and you're an excellent human. You and I have had, we've had lunch at, numerous times.
Mm-hmm.
What I mean by that, your kindness and your love for people. When we started the Midday Cabarets last year, Stan was our first person. And I remember talking to him and I said, hey, my mother-in-law is in an assisted living facility. We're trying to get an idea to get them to come, anybody who's in a facility like that, to come out. And your words to me, you were like, that is some of the what did you say, the least served population right now. And you play in some of these assisted living facilities. And you and I had some conversation about that. You want to share a little bit about what that does for you and what it does for them, who's they're still vibrant human beings that sometimes don't get to go out and I don't know how to explain it. That sounds I don't know. I'm not saying it correctly, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, it kind of started. I'll go back to when I was in a position where my parents needed some care.
Mm-hmm.
And so we rented a house in Howland, and I brought my folks in. They were in their, my mom was in her mid-80s. My dad was in his late 80s, 90s, around there. And taking care of them kind of sensitized me to the needs of people in that age group.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe independent living, assisted living, more intensive nursing care type, and eventually, hospice level care. Mm-hmm. They went through all of that. Mm. And so it kind of sensitized me to things that might be missing along the way in that care. So I got a phone call from someone that had heard me at one of the wineries I play at up around Madison in Geneva area. And they said, would you consider doing some entertainment for our residents? I said, sure.
Yeah.
Because the need had already been implanted in my mind from my taking care of my folks. So they have three levels of care, independent living, assisted, and memory care. Mm-hmm. And it's a highly rated facility. Mm-hmm. They're very it's very commendable, the level of care that they provide. Mm-hmm. And they have an activities director that's very active. Mm-hmm. And the corporate ownership, supports that as well. And that's important. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I started on a schedule there the first Tuesday of every month. And it's been I never could have anticipated how that developed and what it would create as far as opportunities and interactions. I've had some of my best experiences, not only there, but the other places that I've received phone calls from. So I haven't counted them up entirely, but it wouldn't surprise me if it's between 5 to 10 facilities now in Ohio and Western PA as well. Some of them on a regular basis, some of them every couple months.
Yeah.
but they're just, they value that music is an important thing.
Yes.
And there's reasons for that. I read a book by a fellow named I'm forgetting names and everything now. But anyway, it was about the effect that music has on people that have Alzheimer's or dementia. Oliver Sacks.
Okay.
And he later did a documentary on it too. But some of his research, he was a neurologist and a surgeon. Some of his research and anecdotes that he got from some associates of his showed that someone that has severe dementia or Alzheimer's that cannot even carry on a conversation, might not even know where they're at, might not know their family, non-communicative, okay? When they hear music, it's like a switch gets turned on. And they not only become animated, sometimes they can sing the songs.
Yeah.
And I saw videos of one of the instances where he did that. And subsequent to that, I've had that same experience when I played in the memory care section. But one of the things I found out is that when researchers connect the electrodes to the head in order to do a EEG, and they can monitor different areas of the brain, and they know what areas control different things, our speech, our hearing, our motor skills, all that kind of stuff. They know what areas of the brain control those things. And so as they're monitoring this on a patient, and they start playing music, what they found is that music activates more parts of the brain than anything. And when I've discovered that, the way I translated it into my understanding is that we are wired for music. Our brains are wired for music. So that's why someone, severely into dementia or Alzheimer's, music can bypass those impediments in their brain and reach that person. And it's awesome to see. And that also impressed me as to how the seriousness of what I do, that I can't take it for granted because of the impact that I am able to have on someone. Yeah. It's a very serious thing, really. I mean, I'm not saying I'm doing it right or other people are doing it wrong. I'm just saying how it impressed me.
Sure. Absolutely.
And music is one of those things you can go as deep as you want and never reach the bottom.
Yeah.
It's that profound.
Yeah.
And so when I'm playing at one of those facilities, I have that uppermost in my mind. So I play music that can reach their emotions. Some music happy, some music a little bit more melancholy because they have those kind of emotions. One of the places I played at, continue to play at, is in Poland. And first time I played there, I played a song that Perry Como had done called Once Upon a Time. And it's a song about how things that we enjoyed when we were young, and you're probably younger than, much younger than I am, but once we get old, everything changes and we can never go back. Once upon a time never comes again, is one of the phrases of the song. And so as I'm going through the song, I can see the hankies coming out and the ladies dabbing their eyes.
Oh, yeah.
And I was not surprised by that,
Sure.
because it's a very, very heart-rendering type song. So anyway, the next time I went, I always ask for requests. The last 15 minutes of the hour, I invite requests when I'm at one of the facilities. And so one of the ladies said, "Can you play that song you played last time you were here?" And I said, "Well, it just made you cry." She says, "That's okay. They were good tears."
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
So, I played it again for them.
Mm-hmm.
And so they enjoy being being involved on more than one level, just
Yeah.
not just hearing,
Mm-hmm.
but also emotionally and mentally.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the songs I do, are kind of thought-provoking,
Sure.
I guess.
Yeah.
And then I tell stories about the songs, about who wrote them, what year they were written, who performed them. There's some interesting stories about how a song came about, what was the motivation. And they love that.
Mm-hmm.
I love it too,
Yeah.
but I don't do it to where it's overbearing. Just, a little here and there, not every song, but just as time permits and I get the feeling for, what they would want to hear.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah. And I think one of the blessings is we started these midday cabarets. We had that demographic in mind, okay? But then as a blessing, we started having entrepreneurs, people that worked maybe third shift, people that work from home. All these other people started to come out from the community.
Okay.
And all of a sudden, they're experiencing something on a Wednesday afternoon at 1 o'clock. And to your point, we're all in the room experiencing this together because, as you said, music specifically moves us emotionally. And so there's something unique about being in a space together and experiencing something together. So I'm seeing someone that may be a little more mature in years sitting next to someone who is a little, younger in their years, and they're experiencing this together. And that matters. That matters at our theater. We want to create spaces where those kinds of things can happen. Everything is so fast-paced in this world. To be present, to be able to hear, and I love when you share. I love almost as much as when you play the sax. I love when you tell the stories and you are able to relate with an audience. Not every performer has that gift. Not every performer has that gift to really read the audience. They come in, they do their set. This is what I do, but it takes a sensitivity to be able to kind of feel the flow of the room and the journey that you're going on. And I think you do that really, really well. So
Thank you.
We're grateful.
Thank you. Probably the most important thing I've learned since I've been a solo performer, which is about 30 years, there's a difference between a performer and an entertainer.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know this. I had no idea that difference existed when I started doing this. And it was something that I gradually came to appreciate. A performer can get up and I've seen it, perform his music. He may even have been college educated and renowned and everything.
Mm-hmm.
That does not make him an entertainer.
Mm.
And the difference is that an entertainer will engage
Oh, yeah.
the audience on multiple levels, not just audibly, but visually, emotionally, mentally. He's going to engage his audience.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's one of the reasons why, for example, whenever I perform, you always see me dressed as an entertainer.
Mm.
And it's old school. It goes back to the early days of jazz, when the jazz performers always wore suits when they went on stage. As a matter of fact, one of the big band leaders was a fellow named Art Blakey. and he was a drummer. His band was called like a university on wheels because he trained the members of his band on how to manage a band on the road, how to arrange music, how to do all those things they needed to know to be a successful traveling musician. And he had the top musicians in his band. Miles Davis, he had Coltrane, he had all those guys. And even later, Marsalis and those guys, he had them in his band. And one of the things he always insisted was that his band would always wear suits. And here's the reason he gave them. He says, they will see you before they hear you. Mm-hmm. And when you think about it, when they see someone, they're going to draw conclusions about that person. Mm-hmm. I'll give you an example. I was doing a performance at the place in Twinsburg, Blue Canyon, I think it's called. And it was the very first time I'd ever been there. So I'm rolling my equipment in, and of course I'm dressed in a suit with a hat. And there was an older couple sitting kind of close to where I was setting up at. And so they were watching me, and so I'm setting stuff up. And the guy, he says, come here for a second. So I went over and he says, I want to book you for a gig. And I said, well, you haven't even heard me. Here's what he said. He says, I already know you're good.
That first impression.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So that just reaffirmed to me that is important. I told someone else that my performance starts whenever I enter the room with my equipment to set up. That's when it starts, really. Mm-hmm. Not when I start playing.
Yeah.
So to me, there's just a lot of little details like that. For example, whenever I'm at one of the assisted living places or nursing homes, and I'm setting up, I make a point of never turning my back to the audience. I mean, they're sitting there, they're gathering up, and I'm setting up. But I arrange things so that I'm always facing them and always have a pleasant smile on my face. Because I want them to realize I'm there because I want to be there, not because it's a job.
Yep.
And so I maintain a pleasant demeanor at all times. Mm-hmm. And one fellow, he came up to me, and he grabbed my hand, he shook my hand, he says, I want to thank you for treating us with dignity and respect. Mm-hmm. And there's no price you can put on that.
That's right. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it's a lot of little things. I always walk around after a performance and say hi to everybody that I can. Mm-hmm. Either shake their hand or even give them a hug or whatever, and it just makes the performance even better for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, memorable too for the audience.
Absolutely.
So,
well, we're excited.
Going to be entertained.
Wednesday, May 27th.
Mm-hmm. 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock, the Midday Cabaret. Thanks for coming in, Stan. Oh, you can get your tickets at thecat.com. Forgot to tell that to our audience. Thank you again for coming in.
Thank you for the invitation. I appreciate it.